Hello guys and welcome back to webacrylic YouTube channel. This video is going to be a full crash course on CSS for the very beginners. If you are new to the channel, make sure that you hit the subscribe button and press the bell icon. Let's begin. There is a prerequisite to this course. If you don't know anything about HTML, then I would suggest you to watch my crash course on HTML video first. Link is in the description and then come back to the video. The CSS is used to style and decorate a simple HTML page. For example, you can style the text color, you can change background color, you can change font size, font family, etc. There are three standard ways by which you can embed CSS in a particular HTML web page. Number one, internal CSS, where you write the CSS code inside the style tag and place the style tag inside the head tag. The second one is external CSS, where you write all of your CSS code in a separate file and then save the code with using .css extension, and then you include the path of that CSS file in the head tag using this particular syntax. And the last one is inline CSS, where you use style attribute inside any particular HTML tag to initiate your CSS code. In order to style a particular HTML element, you have to select the element first, and you can do so using three common ways. First, you can select that by using the tag name. Second, you can select the element by using its ID. Third, you can select the element by using its class name. When we select any HTML element by its tag name, all the elements of that particular tag name are going to share the same CSS code. Now, in case you want to give a common set of style to different HTML elements, you are going to create a CSS class and then you are going to give a particular tag that particular CSS class using class selector. In case you want to give a unique style to any particular HTML element, you have to use ID selector. ID is going to give a unique ID to that particular element and the CSS code is going to be applied on only that element. So here we have a very basic HTML structure with h1 tag saying welcome and a p tag with some sample text, and we are going to apply CSS on it. Okay, so let's start by styling this basic white background, and we are going to use the internal CSS here. So we'll write this style tag, and inside the style tag I'm going to target the body tag. So let's style the body. I'm going to change the background color to something like gray. So here we have a gray background color. Now we can also include an image at the background with background image property, and we'll set the URL to the name and the path of the image. So I have an image named cs.jpg. Let's try it out. So here we have some images at the background. Now what is the problem here? The problem is that the image is repeating itself. It is not at the center, it is at the top left corner. So we have to fix this, and how we can do that? Let's try. So first of all, let's stop it from repeating itself. So we have to change background repeat to no repeat. Let's refresh it. Here we go. Now it's not repeating itself. Now we have to place it in the center, and to do so we'll use background position to center and background size to cover. Also we have to do one more thing here. Background attachment to fixed. Here we go. So we have a nice cover background image. Now let me elaborate it. So we first use the background image with the URL of cs.jpg. You can mention your image path here. Then we stop itself from repeating. We use background repeat to no repeat. Then we set background position to center to place the image at the center, and then we increase the image size to cover the complete width of the device. And at the very end we set the background attachment to fixed, which stops the page from scrolling down. Now let's try some text formatting, and to do so I'm going to target this h1 tag. I'm going to give it an ID of heading, and to style anything using its ID we have to use hash heading, and inside the body I'm first going to change the color of the text. Let's set the color to white. You can also use color codes here. So here you can see the text color is changed now. Now I'm going to align the text to center. Here you can see text is aligned to the center. We can also use some text decoration like overline, underline and line through. Let's try to put an underline. Here you can see the underline is inserted. You can also create an overline like this and a line through. This, but for now we don't need these things, so just delete it. Oh sorry, I forgot to refresh. Yeah, here we go. We can also change the casing. We can convert it to lowercase and uppercase. So for that we have to use text transform, and let's set it to uppercase. Here you can see the text is in uppercase now. We can also use text shadow to create a shadow effect. Now to do so you have to mention the pixels for horizontal shadow, the pixel for vertical shadow, the blur effect and the color of the shadow. So let's set the horizontal shadow to 3 pixels, vertical to 3 pixels, 3 pixels, and the blur effect to 5 pixel maybe, and a shadow of I guess red color would be good. Okay, so here you can see a red shadow. We can also insert multiple shadows. So let's copy and paste this by using a comma, and this time I'm going in the negative direction, and let's give it color yellow. Here you go. You can see a cool red and yellow shadow. So here you go. Now let's play with the paragraph a little. So first of all, for this I'm going to use class selector so that we can cover all the 3 basic selectors. Let's name it para. And for the style selectors we have to use dot, then the name of selector and then the body. Now first of all I'm going to create a border to the paragraph. So let's give it a border of 2 pixels of solid style and of red color maybe. So here you can see a 2 pixel solid red color border. We can also change the style of the border to dotted, or maybe dashed, or double. But for now we are going to keep it as solid, and maybe let's make it 4 pixels. Yeah, now it is more visible. Now let's give it a background color. Background color of powder blue maybe. Here you go. Let's change the text color to, or let it be black only. Now we'll play a little bit more with the border, but before that I'm going to introduce two most important concepts here, the margin and the padding. So basically margin is the distance between two sibling tags. For example, the distance between the welcome and this paragraph. Let me set the margin of top to 20 pixels. Okay, maybe more than that, 40. Yeah, here you can see, or let's make it more, 80. Here you can see the distance is increased now, right? We can also set the margin from the left, right, bottom and top, but I'm not going to do that. But you can use like this, margin left or maybe margin right, but for now we are going to use only margin top. Now also we are going to increase the distance between the border of this paragraph and the text of this paragraph, and this concept is known as the padding. So let's increase the padding of top to 10 pixels. Alright, and padding bottom also 10 pixels. Here you go. We also need padding left of 5 pixels and padding right of 5 pixels. Here you go. Now I can show you some more styling on the border. So you can actually create border radius. You can set the radius to the border to give it a roundish effect. Let's set the border radius to 5 pixels and let's see the effect. It is not visible actually. I think we should increase it to 25 maybe. Yeah, here you can see the round effect, the round corners. You can also set one specific corner like this. Let's change this to border right, maybe border bottom right radius. Let's set it to 30 pixels. Here you go. You can see the bottom right is set to the 30 pixels now. We can also use an attribute named as box shadow to give a shadow effect to a paragraph. Box shadow. Again, we have to use the vertical shadow pixel, the horizontal shadow pixel, the blur pixel and the color. So I'm going to mention again 3 pixel for vertical, 3 pixel for horizontal, then 5 pixel maybe for blur, and color let's set it to yellow, and let's test it out. Here you can see a yellowish shadow effect, right? We can also make the paragraph transparent. We can increase or decrease the degree of transparency using opacity. Let's try and set it to 0.3. So you can set the value between 0.0 to 1.0. So you can see it is completely transparent. Let's increase it to 0.7 maybe. Yeah, you can see a blurred effect. This is kind of cool. But now I'm going to set it to 0.9. I just need a little blur effect. That's pretty good. Okay, now let's play a little with the font size and the font styles. Okay, so we are going to target this para again and let's play with the font. Let's try and increase the font size first. font size, let's set it to 30 pixels. You can see that's how you increase the font size. You can also change the font family, not variant, family. Let's change it to monospace. You can use anything you want like monotype cursiva or Comic Sans MS. Here I'm using monospace. You can also use something like font weight to make something bold like this, and to convert it in italic you can use font style to italic. Here you go. Try and style the HTML forms, and to do so I'm gonna clear this, or maybe this only, and I'll change the p tag to div, and we'll create a simple form. So here we have a simple form. Now let's try and style this. So if you want to increase the size of this input box, then you have to let's target it by using the tag name, maybe input, and let's increase the height and the width. Height maybe to 100 pixels and width to 400 pixels, or let's just set it to 50 pixels. That would be enough. Here you go. You can see the height and the width now are changed. You can also style this submit button, a little submit button here. Let's give it a ID of btn. Now you can find this confusing that sometimes I'm using ID, sometimes I'm using class, sometimes I'm just going for the tag name. So I'm doing this just to cover all the CSS selectors. That's it. You can use anything you want, anything you want. So let's target it by using the ID btn1. Yes, we have used btn only, sorry, btn. Now again let's change the height and the width of this as well. The button, width to 100 pixels and height to 40. Here you can see the height and the width are now increased. Now we can also change the background color to orange maybe. Yeah, let's increase the width a bit more, maybe 150. Okay, cool. Now let's give it a margin from top of 20 pixels just to give a little bit space in between. Now let's play with the radius of the button. Border radius 25 pixels. You can see cool round button. Now the text, no, not text, we'll use the color to white. Okay, cool. We can increase the font as well. Font size, let's set it to 20 pixels, and here you go, cool button. And we can also give the radius to the input box. So this is the basics of how you can style the HTML form. Also style anchor tag, and to do so Let's clear the canvas first. Let's remove this form and create a anchor tag here. Okay, let's refresh it. Yeah, you can see a anchor tag saying next page. Now first of all, to style this, I don't want this underline. So to remove the underline, let's do it by the tag name A. Text decoration, let's set the text decoration to none. It will remove the underline. Here you can see the underline is gone now. Now we'll change the color. Color to white maybe. Okay, and I'm going to give the display property to inline block. So let's set the display to inline block. Now what is this, the display to inline block? Basically it allows to set a height and a width of any anchor tag. So if you want to increase the height or the width of any anchor tag, you can set the display of that particular anchor tag to inline block. And background color, to completely red. Here you can see. Now let's add some padding. Padding to 20 pixels and 10 pixels maybe. You can see now it looks like a button. Alright, now it looks like a button, and I'm going to add a hover effect. Now what is the hover effect? You will see in a moment. So to add a hover effect, first of all we have to write like this. Now on hover, I want to change the background color. Basically hover means whenever I'll move my pointer on this particular button, it will change something will happen on this hover. So let's change the background color to white and text color to red. Maybe. Let's test it. Here you can see. Now this is known as the hover effect. Whenever I'm hovering the mouse cursor on this button, it changes the color, the background color and the text color. Also change the position of any particular component of HTML, and to do so we will use the position attribute. Now first let me change this to a normal text. Okay, now let's try and change the position of this particular division. I want to fix this at the very bottom. So how I can do that? To do so, here this is the style of para. Now let's try and change the position. Let's set the position to fixed. So we can use several things here. We can use relative, we can use fixed, we can use absolute, we can use sticky. Now to fix something at any particular place, like to fix something at the bottom or at the top, we'll use fixed. And I want to fix this at bottom. So I'll make bottom to 0. So this is the way how you can fix something at the bottom or at the top. You can see it is fixed. We can also make it sticky. I want it to be sticky at the top. So I'll make the top to 0. Now to see the actual effect, we have to add some text maybe. Yeah, this kind of thing. Okay. Now I have this scroll bar at the side. Now whenever I will try to scroll it upwards, it will scroll the whole page, but it will make this para sticky at the very top. You can see the background is still scrolling, but the particular hello text is sticky at the top. So you can use this for your navigation bars. Now at last, let's see how you can animate HTML components using CSS. I'm going to use an image here, img tag, and I'm going to use dh1.png image. So here we go. So I have an image of Mahendra Singh Dhoni. Alright, now let's try and animate this. I'll try to move this image like MSD is running. Alright, let's give it a class or ID, maybe ID of MSD. Now let's style it using its ID. Let's give it a height of maybe 500 pixels. Yeah, cool. Let's set the position to relative because we are going to animate it. Let's give the animation name. Animation name to move. Animation duration maybe. Let's set the animation duration to 4 seconds. Alright, that's pretty it. Now let's try and add some keyframes. So to add a keyframe for any animation, you have to use this @keyframes, and the name of our animation is move. You can name it anything you want. Now at 0%, I want it to be at left 0 pixels and top also 0 pixels, and at 100% means at the very end of the animation, I want it to be left padded with maybe 800 pixels, and let's set the top to 0 pixel, means no change at the top. And let's refresh it. Okay, here you can see the animation effect like MSD is running. Now one more thing, at the end of the animation it is retaining its original position, but I want it to stop at the last frame, and to do so I can use this thing, animation fill mode. Let's set it to forwards. Let's refresh it and run it. Here you go. Now it is stopped at the last frame. So that's pretty it for the animation part, and that's it for the CSS crash course for the very beginners. So this was the video guys, crash course of CSS for the very beginners. If you enjoyed it, please put a thumbs up on the video, subscribe to the channel, press the bell icon, and thanks for watching. And if you guys are having any query, any doubt, you can ask me directly on my WhatsApp group. The link is in the description. Join the WhatsApp group. See you in the next video.